I feel like even when I had like 2,000 followers on Instagram and it was all like people from my hometown, like people that know me personally, like friends and stuff, I've always been like very vulnerable. And I started actually posting about um my eating disorder on there. Like I started kind of sharing stuff and having people message me and be like, I totally relate. So I've always been vulnerable in that sense. Like I've never been afraid to be vulnerable because I always kind of look at it as like, I know what I'm sharing, a lot of people are already thinking or they're
Mhm.
already like, you know what I mean? So yeah, and then I started like getting more into sharing my life. And I used to be kind of caught up in like, oh, my life's not perfect. Like people aren't going to find this interesting. But then I kind of started to realize like people like to follow people that they can relate to. And don't get me
Exactly.
wrong, like everyone loves to watch like the Kardashians and people like that where they're so like beyond
Mhm.
relatable. Like they're not relatable at all, obviously, because they're billionaires. But it's like it can be interesting for sure. But I also think it's refreshing to see, someone you might be able to relate to a little bit more. And obviously relating to people it's all relative. It's, some stuff I might post and might not be relatable to everybody. Some people might find me unrelatable, but there'll be a lot of people that do find me relatable. So I think just I've always been, open with just being vulnerable and sharing whatever. And I also too, when I started thinking about like, okay, what kind of content do I want to share? I was like, well, what do I like to consume? Like what's the type of content that I like to watch? Because then that's the type of content I probably would enjoy making.
Yeah.
Granted, not everything I like to watch, but like I like to watch people, do these little dances, but I can't dance like that. So, not
Yeah.
everything, but definitely like what do you like to consume? And then it's like, well, you probably would enjoy making content like that.
Hello, baddies. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we have a very, very special guest, someone who I'm very excited to have on our podcast today, Jordan Loufas. If you don't know who Jordan is, she is a full-time content creator, wedding photographer, all the things. I personally, like I said, was so excited to have her on just because I've been an active follower of hers for quite a while, and she's just so light and vibrant and just so much fun. And I love watching her content that she posts on TikTok. So for starters, I guess to kind of dive into it before we get into the juicy talk, we have to do our Baddie Briefing. So, Jordan, would you like to go first? You're going to share your favorite of the week.
So I'm sure, so it could be like a product or anything, like
Anything you want. A
inside?
product, something that's been going on this week, something that you've been
Okay.
just enjoying, a memory, whatever.
Okay. Two things come to mind. One's a product and then one is like music. Okay. So, the first one is I just recently tried Summer Fridays. Their lip gloss. Everybody uses it. I just tried the pink sugar. Yes.
I just put it on.
tried the
Just
pink
I
one.
guess.
See? Okay. I just tried the pink one, the pink sugar. I want to eat it. It's so good. So I normally was loving the like vanilla one that you just showed. Out the window. Give me the pink sugar. So try it if you haven't.
Gonna be
I
ordering
literally
it
went
ASAP.
online. I bought like four. I like went online and bought like four. It's so good. So that is my product that I've been obsessed with. And then the other one I was going to share is, I don't know about you guys, but I love when I'm cooking, I love to listen to like oldies, like jazz, that type of music. And so I've been loving Billie Holiday, her,
Oh, yeah.
like her radio on Spotify. It's Chef's Kiss, perfect cooking music. Like if you're cooking dinner. So I just recently got on that. I've always liked her music, but I haven't like gone and like listened to that specific radio. So if that's your vibe, just throwing it out there.
Hit it up.
I was gonna say, like, when I was running through your videos, and it just feels like a warm hug, But like, I'm like she's either giving like Italian summer or she's giving like 2000s like girly pop movie,
Love
like
it.
with the
Love it.
Legally Blonde soundtrack.
That's
So
such a
either
good
way.
example. Like, that's
Love
a
it.
great description, Rye. Super good. I agree.
I appreciate that.
Oh, I love that. Awesome, Kenzie. What's yours?
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind, if I'm a Swiftie, okay? The podcast girlies know, Riley knows, Jordan, now you know. So Speak Now, Taylor's version has just been like on repeat. So that's been like, when you said music, I was like, oh, I have to mention Taylor. Like she just,
of course,
she always gets brought up in conversation. So definitely been jamming out to that, loving the songs from the vault. Obviously, we love that Taylor Lautner is in her music video. Oh, just
yeah.
warms my heart.
That's a slay.
Can we talk
It's
can
such
we
a
talk
slay.
about that?
Sure,
Can we talk about that
it.
for a second?
Please.
Because okay, I'm gonna admit I wasn't a Swiftie as a kid. I became a Swiftie in my college years, and so I'm like catching up on the. I'm like, who's this song about? Who's this song about? And
Mhm.
so I've been catching up on that and like the whole Taylor Lautner story, and so I didn't know that it was about him until
Mhm.
recently. And so I'm like, what a revelation! And then I was obsessed with the music video too that they made all
I
together,
haven't
and I'm just
Yeah,
seen the music video. I need to watch,
it's
apparently.
quite iconic.
no,
I
it's
was gonna
seriously
say
iconic.
I have a question.
Yes.
So,
Raise
okay,
it.
I'm not a Swiftie, but I obviously majority of the people I follow are. What is I feel like she's always
Yeah.
releasing like these different versions. It's like what's the difference? Is it like the same
That's
song?
So
very refreshing you say that. It's very refreshing you say that because I'm
I'm
catching up
so
too.
confused because people are like playing songs. I'm like, didn't she release the song like forever ago? Like, what is so
yes.
different? I need a lesson.
Gotcha. Okay, so I was just explaining this to my sister the other day because she also didn't know. I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I will
Yeah.
explain. So basically, a long time ago, when Taylor was obviously a new, fresh artist, she obviously had to sign with a record label. That record label ended up selling all of her content to the nasty Scooter Braun. So because of that, like they have a lot of beef, a lot of things go down. Wasn't respected as an artist. All of these things.
Oh,
I can send you some videos later about like
okay.
more of her perspective of the story. But basically, Scooter Braun ended up owning the rights to her music. So every time her original recordings got played, he makes profit off of them and not her. So she doesn't own those
I
actual like
see.
recordings. She owns the context, obviously her songs, but she doesn't own the actual recordings of those songs of the first like round. So she now is taking her
Okay.
power back, re-recording these songs. So now when these new Taylor's versions are streamed, she makes the profit.
I
So I'm
see.
like,
Yeah,
Okay.
so
You're a
you can't
boss.
listen to the old songs anymore.
Yeah,
no,
You
the
should
old
be
one's
listening to the
done.
new
Okay,
albums.
old one's
period. I
done.
respect that.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes total sense. I was just so confused. I was like, wait, I've heard these songs before. What is so new? So
right.
that makes
And then
total
she
sense.
releases like her vault songs, which are like in that era of when she was like that just didn't make the cut. She
I
has
see.
like these little baby songs that
She's
are
a
so it just
genius.
like she's literally
She's a
don't even
fucking
get me started.
genius.
She is
Yeah.
so smart. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how. I mean, even if you're not a Swiftie, like you just have to respect the
Hmm.
game. Like
I'm like,
just yeah,
I'm a Swiftie just from, just by proxy, just from being around
Association.
it.
yeah. By
Yeah,
association, yes,
literally.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A
So that's
secondhand
basically a
Swiftie.
rundown of that.
I
Anyways,
like it.
was
I
I
like it more.
should I mention a product too because I'm a product girly? I probably
You
should.
mentioned the product because that's
We,
your thing.
yeah.
100%.
So I've been kind of like not buying a lot of stuff from Sephora lately because it breaks the bank sometimes. So
Mhm. It
something that I
does.
have been using though that was like a kind of like previous purchase was the Glow Ivy from Kosas. So good. I've
Yes,
been
I've
using
heard
it a lot
about
more
that.
now
Yeah.
that it's summertime, and so it just like helps my skin. I feel like I've never tried the DeBronzy drops, but I know that they're just like way darker for my skin tone. I'm a pasty
Hmm.
girl.
Uh-huh.
So the Glow
Same.
Ivy is really nice because it's light. It's not super
Hmm.
dark. I really love that. So
I'll have to give that a try.
yeah.
I know, I have to try that. Don't get it wrong though, like this is like San Diego tan.
Yeah, that's
I
true. When
know.
you guys are in SoCal, it's different. Okay.
Rude.
Like I still need a lot of help. But I've been getting a lot of compliments, but like my cheat code is like just buy everything Fenty. And I'm just like one of those girls. I'm like, I'm a scared to stray away, but I'm open to doing so.
Oh, I
Yeah.
reuse the same foundation that I was using in high school because it works. And I'm like, if it's not broken, don't
Yeah,
fix it. So
No, for
I'm
real.
just gonna keep
100%.
using it.
For
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
I know. I
Amazing.
always go back to my tried and trues. Like I love trying new products. I love reviewing new products, and I
But
always
some
end up
stuff
going
just
back to the ones
sticks.
that just stick. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
You're same wavelength. Yep.
Period.
But
Yeah.
anyways,
I'll
Riley,
close
your
it
turn.
out. I'll close it out really quickly. I've been like sitting here trying to literally find this one specific TikTok video because there's this artist that is a Frank Ocean inspired artist that's kind of undiscovered
Huh.
under the wraps. But I found him on TikTok and I wanted to say it on here. But he has a song called Misery, and his artist name is Taraj, I believe, Taraj.
Okay.
He
Hmm.
sounds just like Frank Ocean.
Really?
And so everyone's saying these
Um,
things where it's like, I don't know if Frank Ocean's gonna come back. People were a little harsh on him after Coachella.
Right.
And so they're like, well, they may have found somebody that can kind of fill that gap in your
oh
little
shit.
artist
Yeah,
Whoa.
heart. So
I heard about the whole Coachella drama. My friend was there, so I heard about it like from her perspective and I was like, wow,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
crazy for sure. But yeah. Interesting. I'll
we'll
have
see.
to go listen to that.
that
I
reminds me
know.
of there's this artist, and she sounds, I don't remember her name. I might need to look it up. But she has a really trending song that's been going on TikTok, but she sounds a lot like Olivia Rodrigo. And for a second
Mm.
when I listened to the song, I was like, is this Olivia? Did she release a new song after Vampire? And it wasn't her, and I was so confused. So like that's kind of just a side note that I had, but
Yeah.
do you either of you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about? I don't even know the
I
song. It's like a love song,
honestly I
but
wouldn't be
like
surprised. There's a lot of times where I think it'll be like a specific artist and I go look and I'm like, oh, that is not them. Like, yeah.
yeah.
So that I feel like that
Yeah.
happens a
Yeah,
lot, especially on TikTok because
Oh, for sure.
you just so many people are getting discovered. So doesn't
Exactly.
surprise me.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
definitely see, including yourself. So we'll go ahead and transition. Was that
Transition.
smooth? Was that
That
smooth?
was
Okay, I'm
smooth.
just
That was
kidding.
smooth. Good job, right? She's like, I ran with it.
Cool. I'll probably just keep this in. But I do want to talk about you, Jordan. And so we'll just like jump back into the episode. So before we even get started, please share about you and like how you got started as a creator. Like I want to feel like I hung out with you as a kid
Yeah.
when,
Like,
Okay. So
you know?
okay, well we'll take it back.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Trip down
rewind.
memory lane.
So I was born in Northern California. That's where I grew up. I grew up
Okay.
like right outside of Sacramento.
Yeah.
And I feel like I grew up, normal, like normal life, normal kid. Went to elementary school. I met my husband in elementary school. Obviously, he didn't become my husband until much later. But yeah, he was my friend all growing up. And then yeah, I feel like I had a pretty normal childhood. I definitely well, okay, that's a lie. I definitely to me, it was normal, but when I tell other people my upbringing, I definitely had probably a rougher childhood than most kids, but normal for the most part. Because who doesn't have trauma? Everybody's got trauma,
Right. Mhm.
Everyone's got childhood trauma. But
Bonding.
yes. So but yeah, normal life. And then I started photography. Okay, hold on. I'm jumping too quick. I had never felt like I feel like this is such a cliche thing to say, like, "Oh, I never felt like the 9 to 5 was for me," but, like, I just was never, like, super big into school. I really struggled in school, like, a lot. Like, I was diagnosed with a learning disability. I have dyslexia. Like, I struggled a lot in school. So getting through just graduating high school was enough for me. And so I signed up for college because my mom was like, just like community college. My mom was like, you should at least go and just like take some classes. And I went to college classes for literally like 2 days before I dropped out. And I remember calling my mom on my first day of college. And I was like, I can't do this. Like the thought of like going through school all over again for however many years just gave me so much anxiety. So my mom was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. So I started like nannying and like serving. So I was, waiting tables and then I also was nannying and I was making like enough money to get by. But I was like, hey, what am I gonna do? Which thinking back, I'm like, I shouldn't have put too much pressure on myself to figure it out because I'm like, you were literally 18, you know, just
But
just
that's like
vibe.
such an age. That's such an
It's
age where you're like, I have to have my shit together. Like everything is structured.
Exactly.
I want to be ahead of the game. Like I want to be
Yes. Yeah.
doing the most.
My little sister, she's 19. She's going through the same thing right now. We have a pretty big age gap, but I'm watching her go through the same thing right now where she feels like she's not doing enough. She graduated high school early because she was doing homeschooling and she's already got her real estate license. And I'm like, girl, chill. I'm like, you're ahead of the game. Like,
Mhm.
relax. I was like, you're doing great. Cause she was like, I got my real estate license, but I don't know, like, if I want to do that, like, I don't know what I want to do. And I'm like, who cares? Like, you don't have to have it figured out right now. I was like, you'll probably change your mind 15 times anyways. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah. So I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? So, and then, like a year after I graduated high school, my husband bought me my first camera for Christmas. He bought me just this little, like, $400 camera. At the time, though, I was like, this is nice. Yeah. So he bought me my first camera and I just started kind of messing around with it. And so that's how I got into photography was I just kind of started playing around with it and I realized like, wow, I'm actually not horrible at this. And then I eventually like upgraded to a nicer camera and like I never thought at first that I could like make money off of it. Um, but it just turned into a career I wasn't expecting. Because then I started getting into like weddings and stuff. Um, so I've kind of always had like a creative job.
Yeah.
And then obviously social media comes into play. I've always been super into social media. I've always been like a big sharer. Like I look back on like my Instagram stories back from like 2017, 2018. I'm like, I wanted to be an influencer so bad. I wanted to be a content creator so bad. Um, but cause so I've always kind of wanted to do that. I always loved to share on social media and just do anything creative. And so that's kind of how I got into that. And then we moved to LA in 2017, I think. Yeah, 2017, we moved to LA. Just because I was like, I want to get out of my hometown. I was like, I need
Yeah.
to, not that there's anything wrong with my hometown. Like, I love Northern California, but I've been there for 18 years. I was like, I got to go
Mhm.
experience something else, you know? So we moved and, yeah, luckily I'm really grateful that I started photography because I really feel like that gave me the freedom because I didn't have like a regular 9 to 5. I was able to like really put in a lot of effort with content creation and I'd make YouTube videos and like post on Instagram, but I feel like I really started trying to get into it when Instagram it like hit that point where it was like really hard to grow on Instagram.
Mhm.
Cause I feel like a lot of people experience that where it became like almost impossible to grow on Instagram. So, and that was kind of when I like really started trying to get into it. So I was kind of like, I don't know. And then in 2020, I found TikTok right around COVID. I feel like so many people got into TikTok around
Yeah.
quarantine. But yeah, that's how I got started with that was I actually downloaded the app and I didn't make an account for like the first 6 months. Like I would just scroll. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
I couldn't like because I didn't you didn't have to make an account to like scroll the For You page. And then finally
What was
after like
your
6 months, I made an
what
account
was the first video that you do you remember, like, the first couple videos you made or, like
that I
or
posted on
even the
TikTok.
Mhm.
yeah, you know?
I honestly I'd have
Yeah.
to scroll back. I know a lot of them are privated now because I'm like, girl, what were you doing?
Archive.
Because it was back when like
We were
the
just all trying to go
dances.
viral.
I'm not sure what my first ever like TikTok was, but when I first started posting, I was just kind of messing around, like having fun. And then I started getting more into like the vlogs and like stuff like that, and like
Mhm.
the cleaning videos and all that stuff. Cause that slowly, cause I feel like TikTok, when I first got on, it was all just like people dancing. It
Mhm.
was
Yeah,
not
it
like
was.
what it is today. It was literally just people doing TikTok dances.
Right.
So, um,
Like, Musically, was it? Like,
yeah, didn't
Musically? It was
Yeah.
that
Didn't
TikTok
yeah.
used
merge?
to be, yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
pretty sure
Yes.
because I didn't have Musically, and then
neither
everybody
did
started talking
I.
about TikTok, and I was like, "What?" My sister was like, "I want a Musically," and she was like, I don't know, maybe 13 at the time, 12, and I was like, "What the heck
Yeah.
is Musically? Like, that's
I
what?"
feel like I feel like well, definitely, like, Musically was, like, what Vine was like for us, but it
Yes.
was, like, Vine and Instagram mixed together what that was for us, Musically was for the kids,
For the kids,
the
for the
couple
younger
rich people.
generation. Yeah, no, definitely. Cause I never had a Musically either. And then cause especially too, like some creators that had Musically, they have videos on their TikTok account that like are there like before TikTok even existed, like from when it was Musically.
Mhm.
So
Okay,
you can like see when
yeah,
it like I think they definitely like changed it. Like so TikTok used to
yeah.
be Musically and then um but yeah, so I started kind of making videos once TikTok made that transition outside of like just dancing
Mhm,
videos because I feel like
mhm.
TikTok's not really people still dance on the app, but not like it was. Like I feel like that's all it
Right.
was when I started was just people dancing, just people,
Mhm,
Mhm.
doing all
mhm,
Now
mhm.
the freaking
totally,
renegade
no.
and
Yeah,
shit.
Now it's very, like,
right.
lifestyle, there's so many different groups,
Yes,
there's, like
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
it's
search engine
crazy.
now,
it is a search
practically.
engine.
Gen
No.
Z's top search engine is TikTok, and I agree with that. I go to TikTok more than Google
It's
these
Same.
everything.
days, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
TikTok is like my number one over everything. Like Instagram, like I feel like you could scroll all day on Instagram, but not like you can on TikTok. TikTok is like you are sucked in and you are entertained. Like so, which could be
hours and
very
hours.
dangerous, but
Yeah.
Very dangerous. So,
yeah.
60-minute thing pretty nice and convenient these
Yeah.
days, but
No
Yeah,
kidding.
but yeah, so that's kind of how TikTok, yeah, that's how I kind of got started on that was just I made an account, started posting videos. And then it
That's
Mhm.
so awesome. I
Yeah.
personally found you from your, like, Get Ready With Me's, like, as a 26-year-old living in SoCal. Like,
Yes.
that's where I kinda started, and I love that you kind of made your own. Sorry, my dog just came upstairs. So
That's
if you hear
okay.
him, I apologize, but, I, like, started following you from there, and I love how you just kind of, like, pinned your kind of like a niche almost, and you just, like,
Mhm.
ran with it, and it was something new that I had never seen was, like, describing your Get Ready With Me's as that, and I just thought it was so,
Mhm.
like, unique and fun. I was like, "I like this girl. That's really cool." And then just seeing
Thank
you keep
you.
posting those and then more lifestyle and then about your, like, eating disorder journey, which we'll also, like, talk about later, and so it's just
Sure.
I love the way that you went with it and from
Thank
just, like, a
you.
follower. So, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
I feel like I have kind of 2 different sets of, like, people that follow me because I
Mhm.
actually started growing my following. My first ever video that went, like, really, really viral was I shared a video, just kinda about how my husband helps me with my eating disorder, and that video got, like, 9 million views, like, something like that.
Wow.
So and that was, like, the first video I ever had. Like, I had videos that had, like, reached, like, 200,000 views, nothing, like, super crazy, like, nothing that stuck. But that was,
Mhm.
like, the first video that, like, I actually started growing a following from. So I feel like I have a ton of people that followed me, like, for that, like, when they found me when I was, like, sharing a lot of eating disorder content, and then I kind of transitioned because I didn't want my eating disorder to be, like, my identity. So I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, I need to start sharing other stuff because I don't want that to be especially because I was like, I'm not gonna be in recovery forever. And, like, if people keep me in this box, 1, that's gonna be hard to, like, grow as a creator, but on top of it, I was like, I feel like I would not be great for my mental health to just be put in as, like, the eating disorder girl,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Totally. That
100%.
that's
reminds me of, like, YouTubers back in the day having, like,
Mhm.
because I feel like YouTubers kinda got viral based on their very specific niches. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
like, "I was this person and I just do all these different things." Like, they were very specific, and so I feel like I remember seeing that when creators, like YouTubers, would kinda transition into new
Mhm.
areas, and people would be like, "Wow, we don't like
"What
that.
are you
What are you
doing?"
doing?"
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
now I love that the approach is, like, you share yourself and, like, who you are and whatever comes with it. Like, you're
Yeah.
not
100%. Yeah.
trying to dedicate. I love that people are more understanding of that, and I love that that was you were like, "Okay, I could see this being very specific to my eating disorder and, like, how that could, like, affect me in different ways," and then you were like, "No, I wanna make it me, plus I will
Yes.
talk about this every once in a while, or I'll talk about other things, and
Mhm.
Exactly.
etcetera." So
Then
Yeah.
that's something I was literally talking with the person this morning was like he's just starting off, he's posting every single day. But he's having such a hard time or like and like anybody else, it's so hard to just be like, this is your thing and that's all
Yeah.
you do. And so for you, I would love to just like learn like at what point did you just like get that confidence of just finding that thing for you, because like, that's something that spoke to you as a creator and it made you satisfied talking about it, but it also appealed to a certain audience, like, what was that decision process look like for you back then?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always been really vulnerable on social media. Like even before I like had a following, I feel like even when I had like 2,000 followers on Instagram and it was all like people from my hometown, like people that know me personally, like friends and stuff, I've always been like very vulnerable. And I started actually posting about um my eating disorder on there. Like I started kind of sharing stuff and having people message me and be like, I totally relate. So I've always been vulnerable in that sense. Like I've never been afraid to be vulnerable because I always kind of look at it as like, I know what I'm sharing, a lot of people are already thinking or they're
Mhm.
already like, you know what I mean? So yeah, and then I started like getting more into sharing my life. And I used to be kind of caught up in like, oh, my life's not perfect. Like people aren't gonna find this interesting. But then I kind of started to realize like people like to follow people that they can relate to. And don't get me
Exactly.
wrong, like everyone loves to watch like the Kardashians and people like that where they're so like beyond
Mhm.
relatable. Like they're not relatable at all, obviously, because they're billionaires. But it's like it can be interesting for sure. But I also think it's refreshing to see, someone you might be able to relate to a little bit more. And obviously relating to people it's all relative. It's, some stuff I might post and might not be relatable to everybody. Some people might find me unrelatable, but there will be a lot of people that do find me relatable. So I think just I've always been, open with just being vulnerable and sharing whatever. And I also too, when I started thinking about like, okay, what kind of content do I want to share? I was like, well, what do I like to consume? Like what's the type of content that I like to watch? Because then that's the type of content I probably would enjoy making.
Yeah.
Granted, not everything I like to watch, but like I like to watch people, do these little dances, but I can't dance like that. So, not
Yeah.
everything, but definitely like what do you like to consume? And then it's like, well, you probably would enjoy making content like that. So,
Mhm.
that's kind of how I got into that and just being vulnerable and just really trying not to care so much about like, people that might be like, oh, she's so cringy or, oh, I can't believe she's making stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gotta just
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say really quickly, I think one of my favorite videos of yours is it's the audio where it's like, if this is your vibe, we should be friends. And then it's like you in like your sweatpants and you're like your
I was in my
headband.
Yes.
You're like
Yes.
really rocking in the
Yes.
background. Like that's one of like of all your videos. Like and they're so satisfying to watch. For some reason, that's the one that stands out to me.
Every
So
once in a while, you gotta throw one out there that's just not doesn't have a lot of thought put into it. Because I feel like too, like I said, obviously, um, you know, it's it's all relative to what's gonna relate to who. But I feel like, don't get me wrong, I love an aesthetically pleasing video, and they're fun to make sometimes. But it's also fun to just be fucking stupid and like have fun with
Yeah.
it and not take it so fucking seriously. And like same thing, like I've started making TikToks with my husband and he's so hard on himself. Like he's like, "Do I look okay?" And I'm like, "Just have fun with
uh
it." I'm like, don't get like you don't like he's so worried about like he wants it to be perfect. And I'm like, and that's also just kind of just who he is as a person. He's, kind of a perfectionist and he's way too hard on himself. But I'm like, just have fun. Like it doesn't have to be super serious and like super perfect, aesthetically pleasing all the time. Like, so we've kind of gone into like making just dumb ass videos that I'm like, this is like we did that. My pronouns are USA. Like,
Yeah.
and then
I
we did
love
like the
that.
margarita one.
That was so cute. I
And
love
I'm like,
it. I
sometimes
love when
it's
he peeks into your
refreshing.
videos. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is
huh.
funny too because he's grown to love it for sure. Like I can tell. Like we just did the one that's like, have you seen the one that's like she's a country music fan? Have you seen that one?
No.
Yeah. Oh my god, you should go watch it.
Okay, well.
It's funny, but yeah, he's grown to love it for sure. But yeah, I'm like sometimes it's fun to just like get on the app and just be fucking stupid and not
Yeah.
get so into it. Sometimes like it's refreshing to just see people be stupid, which at least I love it.
I do too. I
Or
think it's like that same relatability factor of like,
exactly.
oh, that's something that I would totally do too, but like I would be afraid to do it because of, you know,
Yeah,
people making fun of me or whatever. And I love just in that concept that you have such a good head on your shoulders with that. Like I know
thank
it's so
you.
often, even I've struggled with it too, and I know Riley has too, just the worry of like, what are people from my hometown gonna think? What are
Mhm.
like family members gonna think who are older who don't understand social media? Like when I say that I work in social media, people are like, what do you mean?
I know, like,
Like,
why?
like what is
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
And I think just like trying to let go of that is just that's such a power move in and of itself, is having the
Mhm.
ability to like, I know it some days are gonna be like, okay, maybe I'm a little less confident today and I don't feel like
For
this
sure,
is,
yeah.
as aesthetic as I want it to be or as cute as I want it to be, or I don't feel as confident in this video as I
Mhm.
have been in the past. And that's gonna always be there. But just like having that back of the mind mindset of
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Like have fun, do it. Like
exactly, yeah,
who
and
cares?
I definitely have days for sure where I'm like, I have, like, a video that I wanna make, a vision in my mind, and then I go and make it, and it doesn't turn out how I want. I'm like, "Fuck," and I, like, beat myself up about it, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I definitely have my days, but yeah, and I think about it too, like, I feel like a lot of people get caught up in, like, they wanna start a YouTube channel or they wanna make videos or whatever,
Mhm.
and they're, like, so worried about, like, people that they know, like, what they're gonna think, and I'm like, I would bet that 90% of the people that are watching you that you're afraid they're judging you, like, people from your hometown or whatever people you know, are probably wishing they had the balls to do the same thing that you're doing, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people want to do YouTube and want to make content and want to make money off of it. Like, who wouldn't wanna make
Mhm.
money off of sharing their life and, like, having fun and you know what I mean? It's just a lot of people don't have the balls to do it, so that's why they make fun, and that's why they tease and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, so cringy." I'm like, "If you don't have the balls to do it, just say that." Like, so
For real, girl.
that's
For
kind of how I
real.
look at it is like, because I know plenty of people that like that I know personally that like I think they would do well as an influencer and or like a content creator or whatever. And like I see some people that like try to do it. And I'm like, period, do it. Like, it's have
Yeah.
fun with it. Like, who gives a fuck what these stupid people
Yeah.
that you knew when you
You
were
like
5 think about you?
literally. I think it's
Mhm.
like you just like never know too. It's like it's really about doing it because like it's not this like
Mhm.
there's the algorithms and the formulas, but it's like that's not really. I feel like it comes in consideration naturally, but this shouldn't be what you think of when you're doing it. So it's
Mhm.
like it's just like
Exactly.
being yourself, and people just fall in love with you as like the people who need to fall in love with you or would fall in love with you will find you and they'll
Yeah.
follow you, and that's
Exactly.
like
Because
Mhm.
I think back to when I was like trying to grow like 6 years ago when I was like posting on Instagram and because I was like trying to grow on Instagram when like that travel influencer, like picture perfect, like
Mhm.
super curated photos was like the thing. And I remember like I just would like beat myself up because none of it was because I also like I was broke. I didn't have the lifestyle to like make those super aesthetically pleasing
Mhm.
photos and travel to Europe to get all these pictures. And I, would beat myself up about it. And I was so hard on myself. And I'm like, I'm glad that that never worked and that never stuck because I wouldn't have the community that I have now. Cause I feel like if it had worked, I probably would have ended up with a way different audience and, like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy I found the people that I have, like, I have people from all over that follow me, and a lot of them are very similar to me, like, they struggle with the same things, same personality, like, we just are like, I click with my followers a lot more than I feel like I would have if I gained a following trying to be, like, picture perfect, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And the
yeah.
pressure of upholding that in the future, like
Mhm.
we just talked about
Exactly.
wanting to kind of like change what you talk about on social media or what you kind of content you create. Like
Mhm.
I feel like having it curated so picture perfect is so one unobtainable and two just like in the long run, how is that going to make you like
Exactly.
happy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For
Mhm.
sure. I agree.
Mhm. So
Yeah, it definitely you want people that are gonna be able to, like, adapt and change with you. Like, I feel like people might have clicked follow for my eating disorder content or my vlogs or whatever, but they've stuck around for my personality and, like
mhm.
and that's why I think it's so important to just be vulnerable and, like, show who you really are because that's what's gonna make people stick around, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
because I even
Absolutely.
follow some girls that, like, I love their content, but I'm like and they're, like, super aesthetically pleasing, they're so cute, but I'm like, I would love to know these girls a little bit more and like hear their like I
Mhm.
have some girls that I follow that I'm like, I've never even heard their voice. And I'm like, I would love to like get to know them a little bit more on that side. And I'm not judging how they make their content. But you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
people I feel like just really want to know the creator and like so
Mhm.
yeah, like I said, the aesthetically pleasing stuff is super fun, but it's also fun to like get on the vulnerable side and really get to know people.
That's something I was thinking about too, and maybe I'll come back to, Kenzie. It was like, how do you handle the negative parts of, like, being on social
Mhm.
media and being consistent and creating content? Those it's just those expectations and the
Mhm.
guilt
For
that
sure.
can be
Meaning like,
generated.
oh, okay, I get what you're saying. So there's obviously negatives that come like, just trolls in general that come with it, and I think back to when I first started, like, the negative comments, those ate me up. Oh my gosh, because I'd never experienced that before. So when you go from, like, having no followers to no one ever really saying anything negative to you ever online to, like especially when you're sharing something like gaining weight and, like, eating disorder and
Mhm.
stuff, like, oh, the comments yeah, so that really when I first started, I was like damn, like every little comment would eat me up. And now that I've been been doing this for like a year and a half, now I'm just like block, block, block. Like it doesn't bother me at all when I obviously first started. And I just remind myself too that these people are the people that are on here being negative are clearly they're struggling if they like how embarrassing.
They're
Like you're online like
projecting.
yeah, like you're
Yeah.
online to bully people, especially
You have a
and
little bit
it's
too much time on your hands.
No, for
exactly,
real.
and what I always think is so funny is the people that come on my page and, like, call me fat or call me ugly or whatever. I'm like, 9 times out of 10 don't have a profile picture. I'm like, "Let's see what you look like. Like,
Yeah.
let's show everybody why
Like
don't you post a vulnerable video
yeah.
and let's see what everyone has to say about you?
Yeah. Like,
Why
what a
not be so
mission to go
judgmental?"
out in the Like, what a mission to go out into the world and belittle as
Mhm.
many people as you can to just put you that step over them. Like, that's a mission, bro.
Yeah,
Good luck with that.
It's
Like,
honestly
for
just so
sure.
embarrassing, like, secondhand embarrassment I get from people who comment negative things. It's like, even if I thought like, "Oh, I don't really like their vibe," or, "Oh, I don't really agree with them," or, "Oh, I don't really like the style of this content," like, I just scroll past it. Like, why do you feel the need to, like,
I
give your
know, like, I
opinion on
don't.
something that literally doesn't apply to you at
Yeah,
all?
no, it's insane. Yeah, like, I just yeah, so I've definitely gotten better at I mean, every once in a while, one comment, I'm like, "Ooh, that
Of
hurt a little
course.
bit." Like, there's obviously, every once in a while, a comment will, like, really piss me off. Um, but now I've kind of, like, for the most part, like, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, "Fuck off," and just block them before don't even, like, think twice about it. But, so obviously, trolls is just something I've had to learn to deal with, but it definitely has given me thicker skin, that's for sure. Um, but in terms of, like, the negatives that come with it, like, I feel like there's definitely a lot of pressure in terms of, like, and not even from, like, anybody else, it's just pressure that I hold on myself where I'm like, especially because I feel like TikTok is as much as I love TikTok and the app is amazing, it's definitely a little high maintenance in terms of, like, how often you have to post. Like, YouTube, for example, I feel like you can get away with posting, like, 1 video a week when and
Mhm.
people are you could still have a lot of growth with that. And, like, even Instagram, like, I feel like people I know content creators that post, like, maybe a couple times a week on Instagram, and it's like I
Yeah.
mean, granted,
like
I'm not
every
talking
two,
about
3 days.
stories. Yeah, I'm talking more like of actual in-feed post, but,
Mhm.
obviously more active on their stories. But, like, TikTok, I feel like is a little bit more high maintenance in terms of, like, you gotta be getting the videos out there, which can be definitely stressful because every day I'm like, "Okay, what am I gonna post?" Like, I feel like I never get a day off in terms of TikTok and, like, getting videos out, which all there's times where, like, I'll take days off, but I definitely beat myself up about it where I'm like, "You haven't posted in 2 days, like, what are you doing?" So, which again, that's my problem, me holding that pressure on myself because I feel like even to,
Mhm.
like,
It's the reality,
like
it's the expectation. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, so, like, all there's I think the longest break I've taken from TikTok in the past, like, year and a half has been, like, 5 days without posting. That's it, in a year and a half,
Sure.
5 days. Yeah,
Wow.
so I'm like, I've posted probably, like, almost every single which is just crazy to think about in, like, a year and a half and you've posted almost every single day, like, that's insane. But, but yeah, I remember when I took that break, like, because I it was recent too. I didn't post for like 5 days because I was working and then I like got in a car accident and there was like a lot going on. And then I remember I posted like was beating myself up about it. Nothing changed. Like my video did fine. Everyone was like, "Oh, cool! You haven't posted in a while. Like, happy to see the video." Like, and I'm like, "What? You held so much pressure on yourself and like made such a big deal out of this, and it was not a big deal at all. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?" So it's just something I need to work on for sure with like not putting so much pressure on myself, but have never felt pressured by my followers or anything, which I love that everyone is like so even people like I've like posted that I'll have something going on. People be like, "Don't worry about posting. Like, just take time for yourself." I'm like, "You
Oh,
great."
thanks. Well,
Love you
it just
guys.
comes down to the fact that, like, it is true that we put so much more pressure on ourselves with
Yeah.
everything that we
Yes.
do more than anybody else could. Like, we are our own worst critic with everything.
And it's a
With,
really
like, how
hard
do we get
habit
out
to
of it?
break.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
like,
is.
'cause
Yeah.
I like, in moments, like, I'll be being so hard on myself, and I know I'm being so hard on myself, but I can't like, when my
Can't
husband's
stop
hard
it.
on himself, I'm like, "Stop, why are you being so hard on yourself?" But then I turn around and do it to myself, and I'm like,
Right.
"Dude, it's a hard habit to break for sure," but
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's I feel like is the biggest, like, negative hurdle to get over is the pressure that I put on myself, but we're getting better, I'm getting better about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear, like, what are those things in your process of, like, creating? Like, how often do you schedule? Like, do you schedule ahead of time? Like, what are those little things that you do on the behind the scenes that kinda helps with that?
Yeah, so I feel like there's probably content creators out there that are way more organized than I am. I feel like some stuff I'll plan in advance. Like I'll definitely plan out vlogs in advance because I don't like to vlog because I have some days where I'm just in front of the computer all day, like editing, for doing a lot of like photography work. Um, so I'm like, I'm not gonna vlog that day because I'm literally doing nothing but sitting at the computer for 8 hours. So I try to only vlog on like days when I'm like actually out doing stuff. So those days are obviously planned in advance, but a lot of TikTok, I'm just flying by the
Vibing.
seat of my pants. I'm like, what are we gonna do today? I mean, so like I said, some stuff will be planned out. Like sometimes I'll plan out like if I'm gonna do like an outfit video, I like will know like, okay, I'm gonna do that today. But yeah, some stuff will just kind of come up, like videos will kind of come up unexpectedly, and we'll decide to go do something. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we can make a video of that or whatever. So, which is kind of fun because sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna get into today with
Yeah.
TikTok, but yeah. So that's kind of how that's really all my planning. I mainly just plan like my vlogs and stuff. Um, but yeah, and then one thing I'm trying to get better at is like doing YouTube, but and I've like planned those out in advance, but it's hard. It's so I don't know how people are like super active on like multiple platforms. I'm like, that's so hard. Like I like or I wouldn't say hard. It's just a lot. It's a lot to try and do. Um, but yeah, I definitely need to be better about planning stuff and like being more organized.
I mean, from our
I get it.
perspective though, like from a follower perspective, I feel like nobody would know that you're not planning those.
Yeah.
Like that's just
Well,
if,
good,
if
I'm
it
glad.
works for you, that like if it works for you, like
Yeah.
hey, I like go and just whatever I come up with that day. I feel like it also can spark like your creativity a little bit faster. Like
Yes.
you run with it as soon as you think of it, and like that is such. I feel like that's such a
Yes.
good thing because you're not
That's
overthinking these
mhm.
concepts or like trying to analyze it too deeply. Like you just buy the
Mhm.
senior bands and you go. Like that's
Yeah,
great.
no, that's a
Run.
really literally, yeah, that's a really good point that you just made. Because I was just having this conversation with my husband the other day. Like, I sometimes, like, I definitely think that content creation is one of the easiest jobs I've ever had in terms of like, it's it's not hard. I don't think it's hard, but it's like it's more. It can be overwhelming and it can be you can get burned out for sure. But I wouldn't say it's hard. But I definitely like I'll have days where like I'm feeling really not inspired. And then I'm like, okay, well, what do I want to post? Like, I have to post something. And then I'm like, you know what? When I start to feel like that, I'm like, okay, let's pull back on the pressure a little bit. Cause sometimes I feel like holding too much pressure on myself can cause me to be uninspired and get burnt out because you're like, okay, what are you going to do? Like, what videos are you going to do? Come up with
Yeah.
ideas. And I'm like, sometimes you need to just fucking chill and do nothing and the ideas will flow to you. Like, cause I was just telling my husband, I was like, I was gonna make a video today, but I was like, I don't even really want to do that. And then I feel like I'm forcing it and then it's not gonna come out as good. So I'm like, I need to just fucking chill and the ideas will come to me.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I think in terms of like, we're like holding a lot of pressure on yourself. Obviously that's not healthy to do, but it also can affect your creativity. I'm like, I feel like the more you just like chill and too, sometimes my creativity gets kind of stalled if I'm almost consuming too much content. I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
just get off social for a little bit and like get my brain a break. And then I will feel more refreshed and the ideas will come to me easier than if I'm like constantly like looking for ideas and you know what I mean?
Right. I think that's a really good thing to have, or like having your own, like whether it's I've heard some creators say, "Oh, I go for a car ride and I just get like I just let kind of my
Yeah.
mind wander and not really like do something that doesn't provide a lot of thought, or like I get off social media like you said and just like don't even let any other like trend or any other
Mm-hmm.
content creators content and kind of inspire, not even inspire, but just like overwhelm me like, oh, I should create content like that, or oh, I should create content like
Yeah.
this. And that's a really good like mindset to have when you're like, okay, I'm obviously not feeling it today, let's step back, let's
Yeah. Rather
take a
than trying to
breather.
force it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
it's
listen to
good
your
too.
mind. Just listen and
Hmm.
just listen to it and
Yeah.
go
Exactly.
with it and move with it.
That
Like,
kind
Yeah.
of
You
reminds,
don't
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say too, like it's because you were talking about getting inspiration from other people, which I think is totally healthy and normal to do to like go and get inspiration. But sometimes if you're almost too fixated on what other people are doing, then you start questioning yourself too much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like I said, you gotta find a healthy balance where like it's totally normal to like have videos be inspired by other people, but you have to find like a happy medium how much you're consuming and how much you're paying attention to other people because your mind, comparison game, we all do it. It's like the comparison is the thief of joy. So I'm like, you gotta just vibe.
vibe out.
Like Riley was
Yeah.
saying, just vibe. Listen to your
Just
mind.
vibe.
Vibe. But it's like I say that and it's like because I want to be that. Like,
Me
I
too.
am so glad
I would want that
that
so
way.
bad. Because
Have I accomplished it? Not yet, but
not yet. I have wanted to like I same as you, Jordan, like wanted to start a YouTube channel from a really young age, or like I have
Mhm.
been back and forth with myself. I started one when I was a freshman in college, and then I stopped because I was
Love
Yeah.
so
them.
overwhelmed with it. And then
Mhm.
I started TikTok up a little bit ago again and started making makeup videos and stuff and trying to like find what I really enjoyed creating, because I love creating content. Like I obviously
Yeah.
work in social media and I do it for clients, but for myself it's just like so much pressure. And for what?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's just
Mhm.
I'm slowly but surely getting out of that and like trying to be less hard on myself, but it
Yeah.
is such a long process, and it's okay to have those days too. Like,
No, for sure. Yeah, it's I feel really lucky too because I feel like I know there's people out there that have like 9 to 5s and stuff where their jobs are super consuming, and I'm like, I feel like it would be hard. Like, I'm lucky because I have a super flexible schedule, but it's hard too, especially, like, if you have your job and can see where you're going in and, like, you're doing all this stuff for clients, and then I'm like, "Hey, what's left for you at the end of the day in terms of,
right.
like, what you're like, the content that you're gonna make?" Because I feel like your brain is already so drained. So I feel
Mhm.
very lucky. Like I'm very blessed that I have a flexible schedule. And I've created that stuff for I've created that schedule for myself and I've worked really hard to get to be able to have that flexibility. But
Yeah.
yeah, I see these like aspiring content creators that have 9 to 5s and I'm like, I pat you on the back because that's really hard to like
Mhm.
have such a packed schedule. And then on top of it, you gotta try and be creative. I'm like, I get drained when I have flexibility. Like,
Yeah.
I could see you struggling, Mackenzie, like, to make content because I feel like when you're doing it for other people, it's hard to like, okay, now I gotta come up with ideas and be creative for
Yeah.
myself after I've done it. I've helped other people with that all day. So, yeah,
Mhm.
it's hard for sure.
That's such
Yeah,
a
I
good point
appreciate
you
that.
made right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It
It's
is.
true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
So
I don't
I think this
know people that have 9 to 5s. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I'm
yeah.
I would be
I
so
know.
exhausted.
I've been having the hard time. Like Riley and I just recently, like at the same time, were like let go and from like some of our her actual full time job and mine just one of my like side
Okay.
projects that I was working on. And it's just weird because now I'm like, okay, I'm applying for jobs, but I'm also like trying
Mhm.
to more like freelance content creation or freelance like social media work for
Yeah.
clients. And I'm like kind of waiting for whatever kind of comes at me
Yeah.
first. But at the same time, I'm like, well, what do I really want? Do I want a
Yeah.
9 to 5? Like, am I just looking at that for security? Am I just looking at for better finances? Like, or am I
Yeah.
actually wanting to work and have that stability? Or like, is my passion truly just like doing what I want to do every single day and having the flexibility and being able to like travel? Like, that is something for me that I'm like, I want to be able to create my own schedule and do all those things. So, why am I trying to pursue something that just like isn't
Yeah.
really gonna fill my cup? And so it's just like a constant. I know Riley probably
That's
can relate to that too, and
We've just been on this discovery journey of like we both understand that we want that same independence and flexibility that creators have, and we know we have it in us. And it's just like we work with other people. So I work with clients now, and I do content strategy, and Kenzie's a
mhm.
social media manager, and so we work with clients all the time,
Mhm.
every single day. And so it's like that transitionary period of doing it for ourselves is something we're navigating. So it's
yeah.
so you're such a breath of fresh air to hear from, and it's
Yes.
just like it's like
Yeah.
it's not that serious, and it's something that, like, it's easy to tell other people, but it's telling ourselves. It's
Yeah.
that's
For
something that it's
sure.
been a whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Well, and if I could give a little bit of advice to you guys. So, do you guys you're like, "Please yes, please." Do you guys both have degrees, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming from someone who doesn't have a degree, your degree is always gonna be there. Fucking chill.
Fuck it.
Do what you guys wanna do. How old are you guys?
I'm
23.
23.
Okay. All right, grandma's coming in. Okay. I'm
Whatever.
27 next
Jordan.
I'm
Whatever.
27 next Let me tell you guys, if I could go back and tell, because this is also something that I, like, am currently working through. I have a lot of financial anxiety. Um, like, it's really bad. Like, I need to see a therapist. But
But
I'm
relatable.
actively
But
yeah, literally,
relatable.
I'm working through it, and I know a lot of it stems from my childhood, because I did not grow up in a financially stable home. So I know a lot of it stems from that, but I also come from, I had like the only jobs I've had in my life, I've had serving jobs. I was a nanny. Then I went into photography, like owning my own business. And now I'm doing content creation. So I really only had like 2 jobs in my life that were very like you have a paycheck, super stable, in terms of like photography and no content creation. It's all like freelance, right? So I'm very
Mhm.
like the paychecks are up and down. I'll have months where I do really well and then I have months where I'm not doing that well. So that's I know contributes to my financial anxiety a lot because it's scary when you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. But if I could give you guys some advice, you guys have your degrees, because that was one thing I always felt like would make me feel better if I knew I had something to fall back on, but it's extra scary for me because I don't have a security blanket. I didn't go to college, I don't have a degree. So, I because you guys have degrees, those jobs will always be there. Those jobs will always be there. You guys always have this little degree in your pocket that you can pull it out and try and get a 9 to 5, try and get something that's more stable. You guys are 23. Do what the fuck you wanna do. Do it. And if that means too, there are jobs out there that are more stable in terms of paychecks that have a more flexible schedule. So I know, like, a lot of people turn their nose up to, like, serving tables. You'd be surprised. You can make a lot of fucking money being a server,
Mhm.
and
And it's
you
not
get
like an easy job of like looking at what
No.
they do too. So it's like it's
Yeah.
like go shit on servers. Like they got
No,
their
people
stuff
really
going
do.
on.
People shit on servers and bartenders, and you can make a lot of fucking money and you get a more flexible schedule with that. So if that's something you guys are like, I'm really craving flexibility in my schedule to where I can, have the time to make content. Start fucking get a serving job. Do serve at night and fucking make content during the day. You guys can make it work to where there's so many like flexible jobs that you can get. Like you don't have to do the whole office job, especially too, because at least from what I've heard from some of my friends that have degrees and have 9 to 5s, a lot of these jobs are out here paying fucking groundbreaking money. Where I'm like, you could
They're
make
really
fucking
not.
close to that waiting tables. Like, what the fuck are
Yeah.
you doing this 9 to 5 shit for when you're not really? I mean, I know some of them they give like benefits and stuff, but I had a
Yeah.
friend who had a 9 to 5 and she was debating like going and starting her own business. And I was like, dude, I'm not saying this to be offensive, but like you're not making shit at this fucking 9 to 5. What the fuck are you doing this for? I'm like,
Yeah.
you literally could make almost the same waiting tables and you would have way more flexibility in your schedule. Cause a lot of times it's like night shifts or whatever. So and I'm not saying you guys have to go be servers, but there's jobs out there where you guys could have that flexibility that you're searching for.
And what's so crazy about that, Jordan, like everything that you're saying is so true and like Riley said in the beginning, like a breath of fresh air to like just sit and talk to you
Mhm.
because you're right. And like I love this. And so it's crazy though, because I was literally just talking to my mom the other day and I was like, "Ugh, I want to like be able to do the stuff that I've been passionate about, like podcast and like
Mhm.
content creating and
Mhm.
yeah, have my one client that's kind of in my field, but I kind of want to like get back into like maybe serve. I've never served before. I've never like bartended. I've never like done any of like I used to be a barista, but that's like as far as that like industry
Mhm.
goes for me. And I'm like, I kind of want something that might just like pay the bills, but then I can
Exactly.
like, still have the time and flexibility. So maybe like a little part-time job. And then she was like, but what about your degree? Like what about
Who
this? And then my
cares?
ball's
I know.
rolling. And I'm like,
Who
okay, you're
fucking
right, mom,
cares?
but like at the same time, like,
No,
can I
and
just like,
see,
do this? And
and dude, I'm telling you, and this is nothing against your mom, but I think that a lot of times society puts this like, you go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a 9 to 5, you have kids, you
yeah,
grow old, you die. Who the fuck says wait? No, who made this rule book? I don't know.
no, for real.
Take yourself outside of the box. And
Mhm.
I luckily my mom was like, don't go to college. Who fucking cares? Like, do whatever the fuck you want. I could call my mom up and be like, hey, I'm quitting everything and I'm gonna be a stripper. And she'd be like, you go, girl. Like,
Love to
do
see
like
that.
literally like take yourself outside the box. My mom has had like 15 different careers. And at the end of the day, if your bills are paid, who gives a fuck what you're doing?
Yeah.
Who cares? Like if and like I said, if you're seeking financial stability, like in terms of like you want to make sure your bills are paid, figure out what that number is. Okay, what do I need to
Mhm.
pay my bills? And obviously you don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. You want to have a little bit
Yeah.
of money where you can actually do things outside of work. But figure out what that number is and then figure out, okay, how much do I need to be making? I feel like you'd be really fucking surprised. Like I know so many people that they serve and they love it. Like serving, I worked at a restaurant. It was fucking fun. Like you get to talk to
Yeah.
people. It's
Yeah.
so fun. And you guys are not that I'm super old, but you guys are so fucking young. Literally.
Yeah, you're making
You guys are
yourself look old, girl.
Yeah,
You're
that's
not.
I'm
right.
like,
Girl, you're just 26.
I'm
Like,
literally
stop it.
27. But I'm like, if I could go back and talk to my 23-year-old self, I'd be like,
Yeah.
girl, chill the fuck out.
Take the
Chill out.
pressure
Like
off
I was
yourself.
so worried about like I need to be super financially stable and I need to do this and that. And obviously that's a great goal to be financially stable and save up a lot of money and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, you have your whole fucking life ahead of you to work. And you don't want to look back when you're 45 and you're like, oh, I wish I had tried, doing content creation, or I wish I had tried to do this or tried to do that. The time to do it is now. Figure out how much money you need to make, find a job that can supply you with that. Obviously, I know that's harder. It's easier to say that than to actually do it, but it's
It's
just,
The world
we
isn't, it's
gotta,
not linear. It's not
exactly.
linear. And it's like I love, and for me, and like come from my perspective, it's like I love what I do right now because I have the flexibility of working with all these different types of people.
Mhm.
And it's like, and if I can figure out a way to just do that sustainably and like make money off of it, that's the only journey. And it's like
Yeah,
being like honestly, like this was like the best blessing ever. It can be stressful, of course, just being like an adult with bills and
for
shit.
sure.
But
Yeah.
like there's so much flexibility in this world. I totally agree. Like there's like so many things you can do. And I think the one thing is like understanding like with content creation in general, there's things about it like it's just being yourself. Like don't act the part. Don't think about the part. Like don't do it.
Mhm.
Don't act like how you should be acting, or like don't get caught up in the corporate world if you're coming out of it. Like just be you. And that's the journey
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
for sure. And
I
like,
sit and I sip on and I think
yeah,
about
and
and yeah.
no, but literally though, and like how your mom even said, like, oh, what about your degree? Your degree's not going anywhere. It's not going in
No,
there
still
anywhere.
there.
It's not like if you don't use it, it expires. Like you
Right.
have your degree. It's not, and like same thing. I was just having this conversation with my little sister. She just recently got her real estate license. And mind you, she's 19, literally a fetus. And she's like, what am I gonna do? I don't know if I want to do this.
Chill.
And like she was talking to me about it. She's like, I don't even know if this is what I want to do, but like and I'm like, dude, you have the real estate license. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you might have to take a class every once in a while to like keep it
Every 2
updated.
years, I'm
Yeah.
getting my license right now because
There
I
you
just
go.
felt like it. But like,
But I'm like, you have it. You have it. If you want to get your license and then go fucking backpacking in Europe for fucking 6 months, do that. I'm like, why take this little box that you've put yourself in and take yourself out? Like it's the same thing. Like I'm going through the same thing with like I've been struggling a lot with like what I want to do going forward. Cause obviously I've been a wedding photographer for the last 6 years and I love it. But I've also been feeling super burnt out and I've been deciding, I'm like, okay, is this what I want to keep doing? Do I want to try and, go more full time with content creation? Like, and I'm like, we'll fucking see. I don't know, but I don't have to have it figured out right this fucking second. Like I'm still shooting weddings. We're just going to see what happens. But I think we just have to, society's got to take this pressure off of, like, I think it's, when I think about it, I think it is absolutely fucking insane that we expect these seniors in high school to be like, okay, what do you want to do? Pick a degree, pick a fucking
yeah.
major. What the fuck? We are I think back to how, like,
But
my mindset when I was that age, I was literally a child. I was like, why am I deciding what I want to do for the rest of my
Yeah.
life when I'm 17, 18 years old?
Mhm.
Like,
mhm,
that's crazy. And it's totally okay to change careers. Like, the world's your oyster. You can do whatever you want. So,
mhm. I'm a
sorry,
big
that was
believer
a
that like,
tangent, but
no,
No.
girl, it needed to be
Preach it.
said. And I think for me, it's like if you want for these kids who are like about to go to college or whatever, or they think they want to go to college, like you choose just know majority of people who study like get a degree oftentimes don't work in that degree. Like you're gonna choose something, you're gonna learn
exactly.
about it. That like for like just learn something cool.
Exactly. And that's another thing too, is like, I remember like my mom's always been, you can do whatever you want. But there was a period after I graduated where she was like, well, you have to do something. You got, if you don't want to go to college, and she was like, if you're not sure what to do, because at the time I was like waiting table, she was like, why don't you like, just take some general ed classes and blah, blah, blah. And I'm so glad I didn't do that. And she was supportive of the fact that I said I didn't want to do that. But I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't do that because I know so many people that have, like, my sister just graduated nursing school last year. She has so much in student loans. Can barely qualify for a house because of her student loan debt. And I'm like, I'm really glad that I don't have that student loan debt. And I'm like, but if I change my mind in 10 years and decide I want to go to college, college doesn't have like a fucking age requirement where you can't
No.
go past, oh, you're 50, you can't come to college. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? The college is always going to
Mhm.
be there. Your degrees that you guys already have are always going to be there. It's not going away. So take the time that you have now in front of you when you don't have kids and fucking figure out what you want to do. Try different stuff. Go fucking
Yeah.
work at a national park as a fucking park ranger. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're on that TikTok timeline too? Same, same. Yosemite is
Literally.
hiring.
I saw that video and I was like,
Exactly.
I was with my husband. I was like, I mean, she's probably not making generational wealth money, but she's vibing. She's vibing.
She's got stories to tell, which may be
Yes.
better.
She
And
does.
the fact that you
so
could just say you
peaceful,
were a
too.
park ranger is kind of like crazy.
Well, and
Like,
her
oh my
and her
God.
day looked so like peaceful and not stressful, and I'm like, that
Yeah.
seems amazing.
It's like I
Uh,
want to just
So
like relax and then do what I want to do and not have any like
yeah,
I get too anxious when there's too much going on. I like being busy, but I don't like
exactly. Yeah, So
yeah.
yeah, just figure out what you guys want to do. Take your time. You guys literally have your whole life ahead of you to work.
Driving. And so I
yeah.
want to just like close this out because we have to close it
Yes,
eventually again. What's like your dream?
I love
Dream
that
girl.
question.
What is it?
In the Tuscany, living in a villa with your 500 kids.
No, but that's a good question. I love that question. So, um, I really want to be a mom. Because people always ask, they're like, do you want kids? I do want kids. Granted, how many kids we have will depend on like finances because I will not have more kids than I can afford because I want to be able to give my kids everything and more. I want to be able to give my kids the things I didn't have growing up. So if we're, for some reason we're super fucking rich, we might have like 5 kids. I don't know, but I really want to be a mom. I really just am super excited to just have a family with my husband. But so that's a big part of my dream is just, and we would love to like homeschool our kids and because America's scary. That's I don't know about that. I'm
Well,
not gonna be sending my kids to public school,
well,
but
yeah. That and kids
and
are mean.
Kids are
it's
mean.
for
I don't like kids
real.
bullied. Like, they
For
need to grow up in a safe
real.
environment. Like,
Well,
come
and I
on.
know people because, like, I feel like there's this stigma around like homeschooled kids that, like, oh, they're gonna turn out weird. I have had friends that were homeschooled, and they're like more mammal than me. So, but and I also just really, when I envision my life in like 10 years, I envision, us having kids and us both being very present in our children's lives because my husband and I both come from how like parents of divorce, marriages of divorce, houses of divorce, however you want to say it. We both come from divorce and we both have had absent parents in our life. Um, and I just really envision me and my husband both really being there for our kids and like being home with them every day, which obviously like how are you going to do that? Like how are you going to make money? So as much as I love content creation, that I don't see myself being like a 60-year-old influencer. So our end goal is we really would like to open up a wedding venue. And I just want to have just a
Oh,
beautiful wedding venue that we can live on. And I just picture us with just a garden and chickens and homeschooling our kids. That is my dream is to own like a
I
wedding
love
venue just
that.
because I've worked at so many wedding venues and
yeah.
like it just seems so amazing. Like I've worked at so many wedding venues where like the owners have like turned their homes into venues and it just is so fun. Like you get to like because I love shooting weddings. It's so funny. You get to work with so many amazing people. Obviously, it can be stressful because there's a lot of pressure around them, but it's just really fun. So because especially since like I said, I've been feeling a little burnt out with photography. I still would like to stay in the wedding industry because I've already, had my career in this for like 6 years. So yeah, that's the long story short. That is the goal is we eventually would like to buy a property where we can open a venue, probably somewhere up north, not in Southern California because it's too expensive out here. It's so expensive.
It's
Mhm.
really pricey right now. And so Drop your information real quick. So we're about to close this out. Like, that's her dream, guys. She does it right now. Hit her up. Where can people best get in contact with you if they would like for you to shoot a video or like to use your wedding venue in the future?
So so all of my from me, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everything's at Jordan Loufas. But when that wedding venue comes, I will make an announcement. I don't know what we're gonna call it, but that's the goal. That's what we're going for. So
We're speaking it
manifesting.
into existence.
Yes.
It's happening.
Which I think would be yeah, and that was another thing I was telling my husband. I was like, I feel like like that could obviously be a great advantage is already having a following and be like, we open up a venue, let's go
Right.
get married.
Totally.
So
And you
I
have
will
your
hit you up
background
in
in
the
10
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, if
let
it's
me
a
know.
nice
Go
little
plug.
event.
Let me
Exactly.
know. You
Yeah,
guys gonna have
we will.
a little California wedding.
Yeah. I love it.
Alright,
But
Kat.
yeah,
Well,
everything,
our-
all my socials at Jordan Loufas.
Perfect.
Jordan Loufas.
Awesome. Well, are there any last things that you want to say to our listeners? Any last comments?
Yes. Everyone needs to take a fucking chill pill. We need to just vibe. Have fun. Be vulnerable. Just don't worry about what like Riley said, listen to your mind. Just vibe. Everyone's got to take the pressure off themselves, especially if you are in your 20s, you're lost and you're confused. You don't gotta have it all figured out right now. You want to do content creation, you want to fucking work at a zoo. I don't know. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Just vibe. We don't have to have it all figured out right now. Just have fun. Be yourself. If you do want to do content creation, be yourself. Have fun. Take the pressure off of it. Because then, the universe has got you. That's all I gotta say. Universe has got your back.
Heck yeah.
Just got you.
Universe has got
All right.
you.
Shout out.
All right, listen up, carefree cuties. Head up Jordan on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
Jordan, for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having